It is no secret that the political landscape in the United Kingdom is, to put it bluntly, a mess. The once firm foundations of trust in leadership have eroded, and in their place stands a populist, angry, and increasingly cynical public. The latest spectacle to illustrate the shifting tide came at the 2025 Brit Awards, when Dyer, the quintessential working-class hero, took aim at Prime Minister Keir Starmer with unfiltered rage, mirroring the frustrations of millions. In that fleeting moment, Dyer's tirade wasn't just a slip-up or a bit of celebrity theatre, it was a wake-up call, a gut punch to a system that has failed the people it is supposed to serve. And if Starmer thinks he can weather this storm without real, tangible change, he's gravely mistaken. Starmer's premiership was supposed to be the dawn of a new era, an era where competence, pragmatism, and fairness would replace the incompetence and corruption of the Tory regime. Yet, as time drags on, his leadership has become mired in disillusionment, and the anger he faces now is palpable. Dyer's rant was not a random outburst. It was the voice of the British working class finally pushing back against a government that claims to be their savior while neglecting them at every turn. And the reason why Dyer's words cut so deep is simple. They reflect the lived reality of millions who are growing increasingly disenchanted with Starmer's policies. Take, for example, the two-child benefit cap. This policy, an unyielding relic of austerity, was implemented by George Osborne and has been kept alive by Starmer's government despite his own vocal opposition to it when he was Labour's leader in the opposition. This cap, which withholds benefits for third and subsequent children, is a devastating blow to families already on the brink of financial collapse. According to the statistics, over 4.3 million children in the UK now live in poverty, and the cap impacts 1.5 million of them directly. And yet, despite being one of the most pressing issues that Labour could tackle to restore its image as the party of the people, Starmer has done nothing to repeal it. His defense: it's too costly. In a nation where food banks are becoming the norm, where families are forced to choose between heating and eating, where child poverty is rife, this excuse rings hollow. Starmer had the chance to undo one of the most damaging policies imposed by the Tories, but he failed to act. And it's this failure to challenge the status quo that has given rise to voices like Dyer's. The public isn't interested in just hearing promises, they demand action. But it doesn't stop there. Starmer's tax policies are another point of contention. Sure, Labour raised taxes on the wealthy, but the reality is far more nuanced, and much less palatable. Small businesses are the backbone of the economy, and the national insurance hike that Starmer introduced has done nothing but hurt them. Local butchers, independent cafes, and small shops have been forced to lay off workers or shut their doors altogether. Meanwhile, the public continues to suffer from the crumbling state of essential public services, the NHS, schools, public transport. These are the pillars of society, yet they are sinking under the weight of underinvestment. People are tired of hearing about plans to fix things 5 years from now. They need results now. And Starmer's failure to deliver has left a gaping wound in the credibility of his government. But perhaps the most damning issue of all is the corruption that has tainted Starmer's image. The donation scandal, where Starmer has been caught accepting luxury gifts from wealthy donors, is a stark contradiction to the image of integrity he tried to craft during his campaign. He came to power promising to break free from the old boys' club of politics, yet here he is, donning designer suits and accepting perks worth thousands while telling the working class to tighten their belts. The hypocrisy is glaring, and it is precisely why the public's trust in him has plummeted. We are now at a critical juncture. The people who voted for Starmer in the hope that he would usher in a fairer, more competent government are losing faith. His failure to act decisively on issues like child poverty, his inability to make meaningful changes to public services, and his descent into the kind of corruption he promised to eradicate have all contributed to a growing sense of betrayal. The polls are telling us that the public is no longer confident in Starmer's ability to lead, and the discontent is only growing louder. Starmer may have inherited a country in crisis, but the public doesn't want excuses. They want results. Dyer's outburst at the Brit Awards was not just an isolated incident, it was the culmination of years of pent-up frustration. People are angry. They are tired, and they are no longer willing to accept a political elite that promises change but delivers only more of the same. Starmer's window of opportunity is rapidly closing. If he cannot find a way to address the core issues of poverty, inequality, and public service reform, then his time as Prime Minister will be marked as a failed experiment, a case study in how even the most competent of politicians can become detached from the very people they seek to serve. Starmer has a choice. He can either listen to the growing chorus of dissent and take decisive action, or he can continue down this road of slow decline, hoping that the passage of time will solve his problems. But the people are no longer patient. If he wants to survive politically, he needs to deliver. Otherwise, the rage that Dyer so eloquently voiced will become a rallying cry for a political revolution that will sweep him aside. The people are done waiting. Starmer needs to act now, or he will be consumed by the very anger he failed to acknowledge.